What's up, everyone? This is Jay High from Couch and Keyboard, and here I am with I think it's the sixth mid-tier report, and decided to add a little bit of color and also include some low tiers. I call it the mid-tier report. I was kind of focusing on Rat Monster, and then I was like, you know what? I won't go with just him. I'll kind of expand it to like mid tiers because low tiers weren't that popular. But we saw some low tier action here, and yeah. I'll kind of get into it. I think the topic itself is pretty interesting. So this person, whoever, I don't know much about it. I heard that they're involved with like some melee coding stuff. But pretty much, I saw something called Melee Underdogs, to where there was $100,000 committed to be given to these players if they're able to reach these bounties. And it ranges from, it also includes Peach. I don't really include Peach on my stuff. Some people don't consider Ice Climbers to be it, so it kind of depends on where you draw the line. But regardless, it seems like Spaceys, Marth, Puff, Sheik, Falcon, which I'm curious if, I think Falco would be interesting to add. It depends on how Mango does when he comes back and all that, I guess. But I think that'd be also like there's some other characters like Peach hasn't had a ton of like Aura's done well, but I guess that's why Peach is on here. But yeah, I think there's like some other like reasonable stuff to throw in here. But either way, I think that there's a couple concerns I have. I don't think any players would necessarily collude over this. But there is an option, like let's say that, I don't know, let's say Hungrybox was playing against Blue Pinata, and he's like, hey, Blue Pinata, what's up? I'll give you half the money if you let me keep going, or I'll even give you all of it so I can get more. And he's like, because apparently Zane, like his prize pool winnings was like not that much. Like I think I saw like around $1,000. And when prize pools are low, and there becomes incentive to match fix and throw. I mean, we've seen that with baseball, point shaving, and basketball. Like even like low level or like tier 2 level like Counter-Strike or something like that. So I am a little worried that people would be tempted to do that. I have faith that the players wouldn't necessarily do that. Ultimately, it's pretty cool that this is happening, and it sounds like a lot. Most of this stuff won't happen. So it's like I don't think this person's gonna worry about Bowser getting any of these or that kind of stuff. And it's a little arbitrary. Says like vibes based off of the stuff. But it's pretty cool. And yeah, so this kind of made my job for this pretty simple. Just ignored Peach. There were also some to where like Master was included because he went Falcon. Axe was only included for one of Pikachu and Bowser. Even though he made top 8 for Pikachu, he doesn't get the bounty. If you think that's unfair, that's reasonable. I mean, it's their money, so they can choose to distribute it as long as it's not egregiously unfair. It seems like okay, you should have stuck it out with Bowser to get these checks to the top 256, top 158, that kind of stuff. So it's fine. But yeah, because on the list, there's a bunch of people that I think did pretty well. We can go ahead and check the brackets. Usually getting top 64 is a pretty big deal. For this event, I think it's not quite as meaningful. Top 24 definitely big, but even like getting the top 32, top 48, like I think that's kind of like, not to say that these players are bad, but it's not as impressive. But this one really sticks out. Graves losing to Forox, and also speaking of people hunting bounties. Graves losing to the Samus Zemi 3-0. It was a pretty nutty set. It was a really solid win there. Was not that close. Mono came back from losing and was able to beat Pleba. Did lose to Zio. But being one of the higher placing mid-tiers here, we see Blue Pinata made it out of pools. Pretty dramatic set, just in terms of all that kind of stuff. Luigi Master, this is like the kind of thing to where it's like Falco, and then you have Luigi and Falcon. Neither of them do that great against Falco, theoretically. It's like lasers against a character that has no projectiles and characters that has a bad projectile. They both combo Falco really hard, but in neutral, it's a challenge. And it was close. I watched a lot of that set, and it was, you know, and I think it's interesting seeing, you know, Zane play different players that play characters that he struggled with. He struggled against both these characters in the past. So cool to see him, you know, show his dominance there. We have H-Box dropped a game after going all Ness in you know, the first few sets of pools, which none of them were that crazy. I mean, Dobie was sponsored. I don't think Dobie's necessarily. I think he's just kind of part of the group. I don't think he's necessarily sponsored as if like for being that high level of a player. But you know, it's not free. Round one for Melee is often not that easy as it used to be, just with you know, more potency of skill. And yeah, so some other mid tiers. I said in my other video that this is a very heavy Falcon tier. We have Lop lost to Daydream. Bit of a tough draw, because even if Lop wins this, there's the risk of playing fish bait. Didn't end up happening, but yeah. And then we have Hagabuga getting tying with Forox. So I think it's been like mainly just Franz, but we have a few other docs on the scene. Axe getting an upset on Sunsei was a pretty big deal. One of the bigger mid-tier, probably the biggest mid-tier win. But, I mean, that's what comes to mind, because it was a pretty top-heavy event. We did have Weenie Hut Sr. Beating P-Bag, the Puff, and making a top 64. I mean, that was, like, if you look at some of these, that's one of the best ones we have. Like, yeah, Blue Pinata did pretty good, getting 24th. That's good. Aura getting pretty close, getting top 8. Getting 9th, just outside of top 8. And like, yeah, Forox and Hagabuga, you know, did pretty good here. But, you know, Mewtwo, very close. Only a couple sets away from getting top 32. So that's a pretty big deal. We don't see much Mewtwo nowadays. I just made a video about best Mewtwo's a little bit ago. I mean, you have like Taj, and you have Leffen, who didn't really go much Mewtwo. There was another Melee Mewtwo from Japan. I forget their tag, but like there's been a few, but not very often. So interesting to see that. And yeah, so there's been some other events too. You also had Kirby just barely missing top 64, like organically. Because another thing with these players, H-Box, Salt, Axe, they have higher seeds, so theoretically they have easier matches. So it does kind of open up the ability for these to get farmed by top players. But I mean, this person wants to shake up some matchups. It's not really going to happen in top 8 all the time. But you know, it at least provides that challenge, and I think it's like, okay, you go this character until you drop a game or two, and then you switch off. You know, I think that's pretty reasonable. It could be a good goal. It's content. You know, it's. I'm personally think that like a win's a win, to where like it doesn't really matter what character it is. It's not the other person's fault, but just with like don't test me and all this kind of stuff. It is not that frequent to count that kind of stuff. But Axe made top 8. Blue Pinata got 17th. Outside of that, not too many mid-tiers making it far. But yeah, I think still pretty interesting. And yeah, Salt beating Axe, which is, you know, pretty common. I think it's like 5-1 lifetime or something. But yeah. Then we have some other events. Last week, I forgot to cover another Ice Climbers. Dark Gen X beating 404 Cray twice at Project Mayhem. That was pretty good. You also had Miffy, a Donkey Kong who had also won Project M at this event, but getting fifth at this, which is not a huge event, but New Jersey is pretty good at the game, so gotta give credit there. Coin Cup was in Ireland. Excuse me, mixed it up. Forgotten Face Up was in Ireland. Coin Cup was in Germany, which Germany's good, perceived to be pretty good at the game, especially due to Nikki. But yeah. So we didn't have anything super high up. We had, we look at CC. We had a few representation here with Dwefoy with the Pikachu. I think Free Palestine with Slim Shady. The Mario main. And Clinks, another one. There was someone that did pretty well here. I'm trying to remember rather. Che getting 13th with Ness. That was a pretty big deal. But yeah, and got some link representation, all that kind of stuff. Nothing too insane, I suppose. But people trying it out. A pretty good turnout with round robin pools. So even though it looks like they kind of lost early, getting 17th here is top half of the bracket. So props there. You have Forgotten Face Off in Ireland, another pretty good turnout here. Also, the classic with pools here, it gives a lot of opportunities. I think this was the one that had a pretty high mid-tier placing. Let me check. So this was Forgotten Face Off. Okay, we had a Gendorf get 17th. Okay. Yeah. I think I'm mixing them up. My bad. But maybe it was Blank Space. That's right. So we had Kevbot win Blank Space, which Kevbot coming from NorCal, doing pretty good. Here it was. Totally Butts getting top 8 with Mario. Elephant getting 9th. With Ganon, a little bit of Doc, Travy, Snapback. We have a bunch of mid-tier representation here. And yeah, you can argue it's not the highest level in Pennsylvania, being kind of top heavy, but maybe not the most deep ever. I still think it's pretty impressive here. And we're having, a decent amount of variety here, even just outside of mid tiers. Like, yeah, you have your Foxes and Puffs and all that, and Sheiks. But, people are trying stuff out. I think that, you have Peach, Falco, that kind of stuff, Falcon. So yeah, this is pretty interesting. We also had a pretty good placing at the bunker with a Samus here and a Link with Beast Mode Vegeta. So, had some pretty good results there. And yeah, so Melee Underdogs just have a bit of a, it only does major. So when I looked at the other ones, it was, trying to look at some other events and shout out people that place well, because it's not like only majors matter, like other events matter. And so we have Gommel is the next one on this, and I think it's fine that you don't need to have something every weekend. I think it's hard to sustain with that, and it can still be exciting. Something's not a major with Patchwork coming up. I'm trying to think. There was something. I'm not sure if it was a Melee event. I have to look more at June. But if we have to wait till July to see more of this, I think that's fine with me. I think if it's too frequent, it kind of like can lower the chance of these things, like having this prestige behind it. So if I'm looking at this, where do I think is most likely is going to happen? I mean, Luigi's got to be there. I think that is pretty likely to where Rat Monster can get a third place at a major of some kind. It definitely depends on the bracket. Like, I'm not confident on Rat Monster beating H-Box. I'm not confident on Rat Monster beating Cody if Cody enters. Probably not Salt. But anyone else? I mean, like, Zane did pretty good at Pat's house, but I could see a lot of other people. Like I think that Rat Monster could do well, but also isn't invincible. So it'd be interesting to see. I think Rat Monster out of these three is probably most likely. We could see Slug, we could see Nikki. But I'm feeling Rat Monster. Out of these, most likely to get top 8. I mean, it's got to be Axe, right? I feel like that's kind of very simple. We could have Morse code, could have Dial M, maybe Junebug makes a return. I feel like Axe is most commonly with that. For this, I don't know. Aklo going solo Link. I know he's been doing that more like locally. I don't know if he would go, because I mean the risk of getting like Sheik chain grabbed or like, not like having a match where he would rather be Fox. That's the thing. Like, you have to stick it out the entire way, and I think it does add motivation for people, external motivation to try and stick it out with their lower tier character. But I don't know. Kuro's getting pretty good. Got top 8 at a regional, but I'm not feeling it quite yet for top 16. These two did fine. Fran's also very good. I don't know. I feel like Aklo could maybe stick it out. Rocket or Bambi, I don't know. I don't know, man. I think Aklo will be most likely, but I don't even know if he's gonna stick it out with Link. But you never know. Sure, I'll say Aklo. For this, maybe Glock. I could see Game & Watch with Glock getting there. And then with this, I mean, these two have already happened. Between Kirby and Bowser, I mean, Heavenly Bruised Pelvis got a pretty good run at Tipped Off, so I guess Bowser. But yeah, a lot of interesting stuff here. I think that like looking at this schedule is pretty cool to kind of just see what we got going on. So pretty much like one a month for the rest of the year. That's not too bad. That's pretty solid. And certainly there's going to be regionals that are going to have these kinds of, like, I mentioned earlier, Patchwork is coming up. That's going to be a great event. I think Moth and Rat Monster. Zane had confirmed. I don't know if he is anymore, but Moth versus Rat Monster will certainly be interesting. Having two mid tiers there. Rat Monster seems, to be the favorite there, but you never know. Moth is a good player. So, but yeah. I think this is cool. I have a lot of positives, only a couple concerns, but I mean, putting money into Melee is really cool, and I'm appreciative of this person for doing it. So don't misconstrue this as me hating on this. I just have a couple thoughts to make about it, but I definitely will keep using this website. It's convenient, but I'll have to scope out the regionals and all that, but. Yeah. All right. Anything I missed, let me know. My bad for Dark Gen X missing that last week, but yeah, we got some good stuff, and yeah, keep playing Melee.